What if I told you some stories you need to hear to believe?
It was the rivalry of the hammer and the nail, and Boston was the nail.
You would hear Yankee suck at a funeral, Yankee suck at a football game.
The second we said Yankee suck t-shirts, people just crowded around us and bought them as fast as we could sell them.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Greg Cody of the Miami Herald is in with us all show today. We've got at least a couple of sueys to give you, a couple more categories. Our Oscars are all week long, and so we will have a couple of more suey categories. I wish you could have heard what was happening during the break because Stugotz off air is almost exactly the way Stugotz is on air. And so Stugotz was singing to Mike Ryan, "Football has its claws in you." And he was singing it because Mike Ryan is a lifelong Browns fan. And Mike Ryan is talking about Myles Garrett and how great Myles Garrett looks. And he does. He looks amazing. And football, and this is what is actually in the air right now as September approaches, football is great at this. I don't know. You start 0-3, and maybe you're 2-1 when you thought you were going to be 0-3, and you got Jay Cutler and Devontae Parker's healthy, and you got a bad division, and maybe Tom Brady gets hurt. And even though the Patriots always win that division, by the end of whatever that thought is, you've talked yourself into hope.
I have people telling me that the Jets are going to be historically bad, like that bad. Damian Woody said he thought the Jets weren't going to score a touchdown the entire season. But you're right, Dad. You find a way to find hope in the NFL because sometimes everyone's telling me 0-3, and I'm thinking maybe the Jets 2-1 at Bills, at Raiders, Dolphins. That's a 2-1 start, and then they're home with the Jaguars. Well, so now I got them at 3-1, and then they have the Browns 4-1.
I know. See,
I got the Browns winning that game.
One of the great things I love that they're able to use the word. The NFL is able to use, and this is why Roger Goodell is getting an extension, even though he's soaked in scandal and. It doesn't matter. They use the word parity, and all it means is, do you have any earthly idea how many bad teams there are in this league? Like, every team looking at its schedule is looking at the opponent that they've got next week, and if it's not the Patriots, oh, that's a win for us.
Right.
And the other team is looking at you and saying, oh, you're a win for us.
Right. Jacksonville's like, hey, we can get one against the Jets.
It's not like they file it away as parity, and we're talking about it in August, but it's not parity. Yeah. It's just everybody's terrible.
Right. Two fan bases that have no reason to feel good about anything are looking at that Browns-Jets game thinking we can have that one.
On Sundays, everyone else should be playing football, and Jets fans, Browns fans, and Jags fans should go to like a rehab meeting where they are together in a warehouse talking about how they've vowed to give up football. Like all those three teams don't have hope this season.
They don't, but I can't give it up. I can't give up the NFL, and I will never give up hope. Never. Because a couple of calls go your way, the ball bounces your way, and all of a sudden you're 3-1 headed to Cleveland.
That's the thing. All of a sudden you're 3-1, and then there's this that's always in play, and this is the dirty, dirty underbelly. A couple guys might get hurt.
Yeah, a couple guys might have their leg amputated.
Yeah. Might get hurt. A couple guys might get hurt.
Odell Beckham, and all of a sudden,
you're back in the game.
Right. Yeah. I listen. This sounds bad. I know it does, but I was thrilled. I celebrated when Tom Brady walked off that field with, I think it was a torn Achilles. He was out for the year. The Dolphins ended up winning that division, but I think it was very early in the season, and I was celebrating. I was.
That was a Favre year, right?
Yeah, it was
for the Jets.
No, but the Dolphins won that. It was the Pennington year for the Dolphins.
Yeah, which was a Pennington year only because Favre kicked Pennington out of town.
And I think they were 7 or 8-1. The Jets got off to a tremendous start and then just fell apart. But I did cheer. Is that bad, cheering an injury? Because if Tom Brady gets hurt, a whole bunch of people are going to be happy.
Of course, it is bad.
I guarantee you that when Ezekiel Elliott was suspended for 6 games, everybody else in that division, Giants fans, are going, all right.
Of course. Yep.
But you're right. There's so many bad teams in this league. No matter who your team is, Jacksonville, Jets, Browns, you can look at the schedule and rationalize how you're going to finish 9-7 and be in the wild card hunt. That's true.
That's the thing about what just happened there. I mean, Stugotz is a Jets fan.
Yep.
The Jets, by consensus, the Jets are an atrocity. Most people, put it on the poll, please. Can you name 2 Jets? Can you name 2 Jets?
I think most can.
No, I don't think.
Well, you can name the quarterback, right?
I can name the quarterback because you said Hackenberg. But if I was left to my own devices...
Did they already decide that it's not going to be McCown?
Bryce Perry.
It's likely...
Petty.
Bryce
Whatever.
Perry.
Isn't that a bad actor?
That's perfect. Luke Perry.
Steve Perry is what I thought he was doing.
Is Nick Mangold still there?
Nick Mangold is no longer there.
Okay. Where is he?
Hold on a second.
I think he retired.
We just stumbled on something good
Not
here.
even sure.
Stugotz can name some Jets because he's a fan of the Jets. Put it on the poll. Can you name 2 Jets? It ain't that easy.
I found out Darrelle Revis retired this weekend because he was at a bar I was at in Las Olas.
That's one of the things that's making it difficult. You got Revis at a bar in Las Olas. You got Brandon Marshall's over somewhere else.
You still have David Harris?
He's on the Patriots, future Hall of Famer.
Who the hell are the Jets receivers?
Well, they lost both of them.
They lost both of them.
Marshall's with the Giants, Decker's with the Titans.
And Nunwa's hurt, right?
And Nunwa's hurt.
Eric Decker's a Titan?
He is a Titan.
Yep.
Oh, do you still have Bilal Powell?
Yes.
Bilal
Powell, yes.
Yeah.
And Matt Forte.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're going younger.
He's still around.
Yeah. Well, Powell, I think Powell's going to ultimately be the featured back. He's good. He's actually good. 4-1.
Pass catcher.
I'm dead serious about this. If I allowed, first of all, put this on the poll, please. Would you be okay with Roger Goodell combining the Jets, Browns, and Jags this season? Allowing a one team that's playing, and they can all play in their own uniforms, but they're all
one team.
They're all in the same.
Do they make the playoffs? And we still have a quarterback controversy.
Well, I want to know.
They don't have one.
Well, no, I want to know how good that team is. How good is the team if I take all the Jets, all the Browns, and all the Jags?
They still don't have a quarterback.
You have Bortles,
you don't
Penny,
right.
Osweiler,
Kaiser wins the job.
Not only do you not have a quarterback, first of all, that team somehow, for some reason, is going to sign Kaepernick. Like that team.
Because they are a quarterback away.
Right.
I'm not even sure
they
about
will
that.
not sign Kaepernick.
I know we have a left tackle.
Wait.
I know we got a left tackle.
Well, don't you have good receivers with the Jaguars?
You got Joe Thomas.
Robinson?
Yeah, you got all the Jags receivers.
Yeah, you got Joe Thomas. You got Allen Robinson, Hearns.
Wait a minute. Let's slow down.
This is exciting.
Calm down. Everybody calm down.
Okay.
Joe Thomas is our left tackle, and it would appear that the Jags receivers are our receivers. Who's our running back? Is it Duke Johnson?
Forte.
Well, hold on. You got Leonard Fournette.
Forte. I know Leonard Fournette said the NFL is going to be easy, but maybe we should ease into this and not commit to him as our starting back.
Who is our quarterback?
Kaiser? Is it Deshaun Kaiser?
Maybe Kaiser.
Hacky-sack?
Osweiler?
Can't be Osweiler.
No, it cannot be Osweiler.
How many? All right, put this on the poll as well, please.
Perry?
I think it'd be Bortles.
How many games? Good God! How many games? How many games is that team winning?
5.
Seriously? Well,
it depends.
I need the schedule because now the Jaguars, the Browns, the Jets are no longer. They can't be on the schedule.
Right. So all the easy wins on our schedule.
I'm looking at the schedule. I don't know. I thought I was going to start 0-3, but I'm going to be 2-1. Maybe a little good start for Maggenberg over here. I'm in the mix.
All the easy wins on the schedule have now been consolidated into one team.
No, but we'll find others though.
The Bears.
Yes.
Do we play the Bears?
We will hunt the earth, and then the next thing we know, we will look at a team across from us, and who will it be? Yeah, it'll be Washington.
We got Hayden in our secondary.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You got Jamal Adams.
Hey, the ball bounces a couple ways.
Yeah,
this is
excited
the
about this
playoffs.
Yeah. What division are you putting them in?
This is important.
It is, because
if we're in the AFC South, I like our chances.
Yeah.
So do I.
Oh, yeah. Favorites.
How did this happen? How did this conversation happen where we are now combined? You guys have that team winning 5 games? If we combine the Jags.
Well, you put us in the AFC South, and we're playing the Texans, Titans, and Colts.
No, put it on the poll this way, okay? Combine the Browns, the Jets, and the Jags, and then give people some choices on how many games.
I like that roster.
No.
I mean, you got Joe Thomas blocking for Leonard Fournette. It doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't get any better than that.
It literally gets better than that at Dallas, say.
You have a great defensive line, though. You do. You have Wilkerson, you have Sheldon Richardson, you have Myles Garrett. You do have a great
Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams. The Jets, I'm telling you, I don't want the Jaguars or the Browns. 3/4 of that were New York Jets defensive linemen. They're going 14-2.
Yeah, I want the Jacksonville Brown Jets right now.
Yeah.
This will be my team.
The Jacksonville Brown Jets.
ESPN Radio is presented.
New York Brown Jaguars. What else can we come up with there? The
Cleveville.
All right, we'll keep working on it.
Dan Le Batard.
Pot calling them Kettle Black, as my grandma used to say. Nellie Doogie.
Stugotz.
Nellie Doogie is your grandmother's name?
Used to be. Still is, I guess.
It is.
But it's on a headstone now.
Will always be your name.
What kind of name is that?
It's an odd name. I believe it's a French name. We were of French ancestry, which I don't like to talk about a lot.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
It's one of the most popular things we do. In about 12 minutes, we will open up another SUI category. I don't know what the categories are. We will find out together. Greg Cody of the Miami Herald in with us today. He's got a Back in My Day to get to later in the show. Stugotz, because he is relentlessly Stugotz. During the break, this is what I actually heard, Mike. This is how I experienced it, because Stugotz is always doing a show. He's talking to Greg Cody, and he's waving his hands back and forth, each of which has 5 sausage fingers on it, and it's kind of jazz hands near your face. And he just says to Greg Cody, hold on, put it this way. Because now he's going to cut through it. He's going to be clear, and he's going to give illumination to the subject.
When describing his sausage fingers, it's important to point out that all his fingers miraculously are the same exact size.
And they're all actual sausages.
I cannot get over this.
Right. And he just waves them back and forth, and he's like, put it this way, put it this way. Who do you think would be better doing the other's job? Roger Goodell as a cruise ship captain, or a cruise ship captain as Roger Goodell?
That's a fantastic question.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Put it on the poll.
Yes. Just trying to bring the content, man. That's all I'm trying to do. Interesting, different content.
The reason that the conversation started is because Cody was saying that he could right now get on a plane, go buy a suit, find out where the offices of the NFL are, knock on the door, introduce himself, and become commissioner of the league and do the job as well as Roger Goodell does it.
Yes, better.
And so Cody was saying I could do that, and I could also do that with a cruise ship, which to me seems more complicated, but he's assuming autopilot, I guess, around the docks.
Have you been on a cruise ship lately?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the guy, they just put it on autopilot.
Yeah.
Like the captain is always walking around the ship. He's not driving it because it's on autopilot.
He goes to parties.
Yeah, he goes to dinner.
They dock themselves now, cruise ships.
I don't think that's accurate.
Today, the Titanic never would have hit that berg because the computer would have steered it the right way.
Exactly, while the captain was having dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think you guys have this correct. I don't think that this is. I think you guys are just talking out of your throats. I don't think
there's a guy in there driving the cruise ship.
He's just a figurehead, Dan.
No, I do. Wait a minute.
I mean, he's there, Dan.
Strictly ceremonial.
He's there to and he's also there to comfort you.
I don't think that
there's a captain. There's a guy in charge, and he is on board, and he's in charge of things.
Right. I think they might even cast some of their captains. to look like captains that you would imagine, because that's what people want to see when they go to the dinner.
Like the Dos Equis guy.
Yeah, you need to have a white beard and the hat.
Yeah, they give them fake Scandinavian names.
You look like you could be a captain, and you also look like you could be the commissioner of the NFL, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you what I would do. I would combine the jobs. If I took over as NFL commissioner, I would begin dressing like a cruise ship captain. I would dress like an admiral. I would be wearing a hat. I would have epaulets when I gave my introductory speech. I would convey respect by my uniform.
I would so give that commissioner an extension until 2024.
I would take Roger Goodell a hell of a lot more seriously if he was wearing an admiral's uniform.
Totally. I want presiding over all of these NFL investigations, something that you would find on a can of, like, fisherman's salts.
He's also put it on autopilot. Goodell.
The hell are we doing?
Having fun.
You would agree it's mostly ceremonial, that position.
No.
You think they're behind a wheel of some sort?
I don't believe that a cruise ship captain has to spend the entire time slaloming icebergs. No, I believe that much of that is computerized. But I do believe that come docking time, captain's got to get his butt up there and his uniform and dock that thing.
No, he delegates.
He's serious?
He sits up there with a cup of coffee and just says, all right, everything's good.
You think he's the captain looking over his shoulder, parallel parking?
Slower. So you got a tree on your left. That's not happening. Back up.
Wait a minute.
Jump in that other ship.
Wait a minute. You guys think all docking, all right, put it on the poll. In the cruise ship industry, is all docking computerized? Like, we're out here, honestly.
You're just going to have to pull back out and start over.
Wait a minute. But hold on a second. If you guys are telling me that this is so, okay, and this is fact, get these Major League umpires out of here right now. We don't need them anymore. If we could dock our own ships without the help of a captain, get Joe West, you take your country music and your protest and get out of here, and let's computerize the officiating of these sports games.
Well, he could still do the country music, though, right?
No.
He needs to make a living.
He needs to leave. You guys don't think the captain does anything?
Well,
he goes to dinner. It's more of a social.
Right. He's a figurehead.
He's the CEO of the ship, Dan. That's what he is.
No, CEOs actually make decisions. He's there for the party.
He's there.
It's a way to ease some people into semi-retirement.
The captain decides whether to have steak or lobster for dinner. That's what he's deciding.
Yep.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
A lot of people texting in saying they are indeed a cruise ship captain, and the boys are right. Saying the boys are right. Saying the boys are right. We're right.
The cruise ship captain doesn't do anything at all. There's not a decision he's going to make other than going down with the ship.
That's it.
He ain't doing that either, trust me.
Surf or turf.
Don Le Batard.
Which are we making less of today? Nellie's or Bert's?
Stugotz.
Although Nellie Furtado, she's with a Y. My Nellie, my Nana, was Nellie, which is the way to go if you're a Nellie. See, IEs look down on Ys throughout the name kingdom.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
So we have to leave it there, gentlemen. Yes, we love you some Cooper.
Let me munch on my breakfast. Y'all
with strength. Enjoy your breakfast.
Cooper
Get
Rush
your hotcakes. Have someone bring you your hotcakes.
You give backups nicknames. You have no credibility on this argument, Molly.
The Cleveland Cavaliers saga continues.
He just waved his hand. At everybody. Get out of here.
Get instant gold status at Shell. Join the Fuel Rewards program now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Here's your SportsCenter update. A dozen Browns players took a knee in prayer during the national anthem before Monday night's preseason game against the Giants. While the group knelt behind the bench, several other players placed a hand on a kneeling teammate's shoulder in support. During the game, Odell Beckham Jr. avoided a serious injury despite taking an ugly hit. He was diagnosed with a sprained ankle. And finally, Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart reached number 1 on iTunes yesterday. The song is up 500% in sales, clocking in at 12,000 downloads so far this week, according to Nielsen Music. On the streaming platform Spotify, Total Eclipse of the Heart saw a 2,859% increase in the U.S. and an 827% globally. Amazing. She's the only one who enjoyed the eclipse. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
The show we do off the air is better than the show we do on the air. And that's not saying much, because the show we do on the air is not that good. But I'm just going to give you two phrases uttered during the break. Yo, the Browns woke. Yo, the Browns woke. That was one phrase uttered. And then Roy chimed in with white number 87. That was it.
Yeah.
So the Browns are woke, and even white number 87. I don't know what his name is. I just know they asked me about him on SportsCenter today, and then there was a clunky thing where, and he's married to a black woman, and I'm looking around, I'm staring around. I don't understand what's happening. I wanted to put on my Eclipse glasses. I'm like, what? I don't. What difference does it make who he's married to? Okay.
I'm learning so much about white number 87, just not his name.
His name, yes.
So way to go, white number 87. You're down, but we don't know your name yet. So get to work on that. Time now for one of our SUI categories, Epic Sound. Epic Sound of the day. We do it around here all the time. We've had a year worth of them. The SUIs are our Oscars. Here it is. Pick from among these.
And now, the SUI nominees for Epic Sound of the Year. Jerry Seinfeld denies Kesha a hug, courtesy of Tommy McFly on Twitter.
It's hard to just sleep when you're tired, because people are tired most of the time.
Gosh, I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Oh.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah, that was Kesha.
Okay, well, I wish her the best.
Bill Belichick's parade chant.
Let me tell you, these players, they've worked harder than any team I've ever coached. They came to work every day, and there were no days off. No days off.
Such a bad
chant. No days off.
Terrible chant.
No days off. No days off.
Conor McGregor refuses to apologize.
Last question for Eddie. Is a win enough for you in this fight, or are you looking to make a specific statement?
No, I came for an apology from him. I want an apology for saying my wife and kids.
Suck these big artists.
Jim McElwain denies he was naked on a dead shark.
First and foremost, I don't know who it is, but it isn't me.
Clearly. I mean, what's your just feeling in general? Just that something like this could even get out there and become a story.
Well, I guess that's for you guys to answer. And, in the world we live, what is a story? I just know this. It isn't me.
Derek Jeter and A-Rod's Aqua CNBC interview.
Now, we were going to talk to you about the charity events, but you sort of moved everything around here with what happened last night at the Met Gala. You sort of stole the whole show.
This interview's going all type of places.
Well, we
had a great time last night. It was
an
awesome night. It was a celebration of art and fashion.
You showed up with J-Lo, of course, so you're talking about that?
What channel?
Well, there it is.
E-channel.
There it is.
CNBC.
People want to know. That's when I came in. I look at the paper. That's what's there in the paper.
That's great.
Yeah, happy about that. Okay, we're gonna keep moving on.
Adam Burke home run call.
Judge rips that pitch in the center. Welcome to Tangier.
Brock Osweiler asks if he's good enough to be a starter.
Are you good enough to be a starting quarterback in this league? I mean,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Why?
I think the proof is in the film for the past 2 years.
But some people would say the proof's not in the film from last year.
It's okay.
Stugotz insincere live field voicemail for Book Shambi to get out of Book's charity event, which he still hasn't entirely ruled out attending.
Boogie, it's Wayne. Hope all's well. Give me a call when you can. Sorry it took me a while to get to you. So here's the deal. as badly as I want to come up and do this, because I told you via text, I got a really good friend of mine's son's bar mitzvah Saturday night, and I have the Sunshine State lacrosse tournament Saturday and Sunday that weekend. So, and I coach the team. It's my daughter's team. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for me, bud. I'm sorry. Like, I could come up Friday.
Just tell me I'm coming
Saturday. I don't. That's so many lies. Although I'm not entirely ruling it out, I just got to wait and see what time my games are on Saturday. If there's a morning game Saturday, it's going to make it pretty difficult, considering I'm the head coach and probably need to be there for that, like tournament of the year. So I should have the schedule in the next day or two. So if I can't make it up, and if I do come up, I can only come up that Friday. If I can't make it up, I want to make a donation. Just let me know other ways I can help. And, you know.
Raised $54.
It's an annual thing. So if you're doing it again next year, then I'll definitely be there and just plan accordingly for it. So, all right. Call me when you can. Miss you. Love you. I'll catch up with you. Talk to you soon, pal. Bye.
David Fitzdale, post-game rant.
We don't get the respect that these guys deserve because Mike Conley doesn't go crazy. He has class, and he just plays the game. But I'm not going to let them treat us that way. You know, I know Pop's got pedigree, and I'm a young rookie, but they're not going to rook us. That's unacceptable. That was unprofessional. My guys dug in that game and earned the right to be in that game, and they did not even give us a chance. Take that for data.
A Stugotz Super Bowl question.
What's the single most important thing the Falcons have to do to beat the Patriots?
Fat Joe and DJ Khaled discussing their NBA MVPs.
I would say Russell Westbrook is the MVP.
I got love for Russell Westbrook.
And if not, my second favorite is the guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name, on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Or something. Sarabatudo.
Giannis Salabatudo. And Joe.
Sarabatudo.
Bob Einstein's voicemail for Allison.
Yeah, I called you back. I tried 3 times calling me with those stupid questions. But here's the thing. I would love to answer those questions because I would have a lot of fun. But I like living. It's one of my favorite things to do. Get up, breathe the air, have some breakfast. If I'm working, I work. If I'm not, I'm not. That's all. It's very simple. It's black and white. I don't like to bring color into this, but it's simple. And too many people have died.
Stugotz ranting about being bumped for Dan on a Sports Center.
And look at this guy. This is the life I've chosen. Court jester. Serious news. Hey, Stu, get the out of here. We want Batard. Should never do Sports Center again. Sorry.
Tony Rizzo, not a fan of 0-16 parade.
If you're one of the people out there that is planning a parade for 0-16, I will fight you. Come down and see me right now. I am at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Brett Musburger, 2nd down and 9.
Let me make it absolutely clear. I hope he has a wonderful career and he teaches people with that brutal, violent video. Okay? 2nd down and 9.
Bomani Jones struggling to start the segment.
Welcome back to the right time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Excuse me. Help me. Oh.
Welcome back to the right time with Bomani Jones here. We're going to be joined by Brian Windhorst, our insider at ESPN, here very shortly.
I'm good. Something got caught down my throat. Sorry about that, Brian. In the meantime, how do the Cavs not have a general manager right now?
Let's go. My private jet isn't going to fuel itself.
Just an odd show, man.
Don Batard.
Our players are held to a higher standard, and we can summarize it all in 3 words. Make that 4 words. We are the Lobos.
We are the Lobos.
Thank you.
Stugotz.
We are the Lobos. We are the Lobos.
I don't
We are the Lobos. We are the Lobos.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Many of you are writing in telling us what's missing from the Epic Sound. You are saying blueberries. Where is Stephen A. Smith's blueberries? Stephen A. Smith has his own category. He had a big year, and so there will be a Stephen A. Smith category all unto itself. Greg Cody was asking questions about whether or not he's ever won a Stewie. We'll get to that in a second. But I've had an interesting morning here, Stugotz, because I was on SportsCenter, and they were asking me about the woke Browns, 12 of them kneeling. And I had a lot of allies rush to my defense. Yeah, Le Batard, you told it like it is. And whenever that happens, I have to go and take inventory of what it is that I said, because I'm like, okay, what's happening here? Do I like my allies on this? Not so much. And what I said on SportsCenter is that people are just tired of the topic. That SportsCenter doing it again this morning, asking me questions about a new set of players kneeling. And when I say tired of the topic, I think many of you in the audience are nodding, yes, I'm tired of the topic. But are you white? Are black people tired of this topic? Am I speaking just for white people when I hear the daily reminders on the radio that we are talking about this too much? Are black people tired of this as subject matter in the media?
Well, it's hard to answer for all black people. I'm assuming that most black people are not tired of this topic. My guess is that some black people are tired of this particular topic. Every time a guy takes a knee, it becomes...
That was some real fence sitting by you.
Well, no, because, Dan...
That was just some real fence
How can I speak... How can anyone speak on behalf of all black people as to whether or not...
You love speaking on behalf of this guy's a liar, that guy's a liar.
But when it comes to something serious like that, how can I speak on behalf of all black people and say, yes, black people are tired of this topic?
Well, you can't, but I wasn't really even asking you. I was just posing it to the audience. Roy could have chimed in. I wasn't asking anyone in particular. I was just asking because I saw what the reaction was, and I saw the faces and what color they were. Well, yeah, Le Batard, way to tell them. We're done with this subject. Can we get back to sports, please? And none of the faces were black. And so I'm just curious. Is it just white people that are tired of this as subject matter?
I personally am not tired of it. What I have a problem with is we're just talking about players kneeling instead of the message that they're sending.
Mm-hmm. There's a fatigue factor, I think. I gratuitous plug here. When I was on Highly Questionable last week, Bomani and I had a little exchange about this, and he sort of agreed with me. I think even a lot of people who agree with the protest as righteous or of the mind, all right, a point was well made last year, let's move on. And the point I made that Bomani agreed with is that there are other ways to continue the conversation without choosing the most polarizing gesture. So in other words, instead of kneeling, instead of doing the national anthem thing, continue the conversation, keep the agenda vital, but get past that particular point of demonstration.
I think part of what the objection is to some of this is you're not hearing new points. And beyond hearing because so much of this territory has been plowed, beyond hearing new points, one of the things that's happening here is, when's the last time anyone changed their mind on this particular subject? When's the last time information made an appearance? Since the first week, right? When people are sort of looking sideways, I don't know what to make of that. Is it un-American? Is it the most American thing in the world to protest? Why is the anthem at games? Once we got past the initial conversation, aren't we just having the same recycled conversation again and again?
But what's unfair to these players that are putting themselves out there and making these statements, most people, they were sick of this topic before they even had an opportunity to use their platform.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah, and if something becomes very common, by definition, is it still news? It was news when Kaepernick began it, that's for sure.
And you had a white guy take a knee last night, so that's newsworthy, is it not?
Is it? I don't know. I question whether it is. It's like it's been done, it's been said.
It was the first white player knee. You've had players embrace
first white player knee, yes.
Number 87.
A historic moment.
We did have news.
Yes, there it is. It is new. It is new. There was a white person kneeling. You're right, Mike. Good Good. Updating the story a little bit. What, Cody? You're sitting there shaking your head. What are you shaking your head about?
Who cares whether a white guy took a...
You're listening to Dan, Stu, and Cody on ESPN Radio.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
What if I told you some stories you need to hear to believe?
Everywhere you went, Dan and Dave.
And that's these two athletes that are going to go to the Olympics this year, and it's going to be settled in Barcelona.
When Reebok approached Dave and I, the first thing both of us said, neither one of us are on this team yet.
The thought never, ever crossed my mind that Dan nor Dave would not make that Olympic team.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
Don Le Batard. Marriage at some point, I think for a lot of people, they get down to, and this is really a sad part about marriage, where you're just having sex one day a week. And that one day a week is Sunday. And so I love Sundays, but I hate everything I have to do leading up till Sunday, which is essentially agree with everything my wife says and does everything she asks me to do. And I'm only doing that for the Sundays. Because if I don't do it, there ain't no Sundays. And I can't live without my Sundays.
Stugotz. I wonder if Abby hates Sundays.
Oh, she despises them.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cody of the Miami Herald in with us, as he is every Tuesday. A lot of the news media today has been consumed with conversation because football is back and we need a way to discuss it. Odell Beckham limped off the field yesterday, and so the conversation started around dirty hit, not a dirty hit. And I'm just curious, at this point in that sport, don't we sort of understand that it's violent enough everywhere, that outside of the rule violation, spearing type stuff that can end in paralysis, isn't everything we're watching some form of dirty? We're just trying to legislate the dirty. The fact that we're always having these conversations after someone gets hurt, and all the time that kind of hit is being made and the guy doesn't get hurt, and then we don't have the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a rite of passage in the NFL that every August you're going to hear two types of conversations. You're going to hear the dirty hit thing. Why is it's August. Why are you tackling like that and when it doesn't even count? And the other thing you're going to hear is the second guessing. The Dolphins lost their starting middle linebacker, a rookie, because he was playing on special teams. So immediately the outcry is, why are you playing a starting linebacker on special teams? So that's like every year you hear that type of conversation. And
I wouldn't do that, by the way. I wouldn't be playing these guys during the preseason. I really would. That's not hindsight, by the way. I've been saying that for years. I don't see any point. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be fine week one, regular season. Like, he doesn't need to play in preseason games to get ready for the NFL regular season.
But getting back to the conversation about dirty or not, how many things could happen on a field that you would actually say are dirty? Like eye gouging.
Right. But, Dan, it's different, right? Because there are rules in place now. There are certain places where you can't hit. Like, back when we were growing up, it was the wild, wild west. Not too long ago, basically anything was legal. Now it's not. So when they say dirty hit, it's because there actually are dirty hits because there are rules in place. There are certain places where you can't hit a guy.
No, I understand that. I'm not. But we're not talking about whether something is against the rules or not. We're talking about Odell Beckham. Was there a flag on that? Was there a flag on the Odell Beckham?
I don't believe so.
But why would there be a flag is what I'm asking you. Somebody's diving at your lower legs.
Right.
That's dangerous, obviously.
Yeah, head and knee. Those are the two sacrosanct protected areas.
Yeah, but it wasn't even the knee. He got his ankle. He went below the calf to make this hit.
I just don't understand. What my larger point is this. How do you legislate the dirty, really? How do you legislate intent? How many guys out there are actually dirty? I think Burfict is dirty. Who else? Maybe Sue. Who else? Like, how many guys out there do you know to be dirty? And the line between dirty and just James Harrison is nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, everyone loves where James Harrison is. Where James Harrison exists, that's fine. But the line between dirty and James Harrison, I can't see it.
Right. I mean, think about it. The line between a late hit and a legal hit is what exactly? It's the opinion of the referee, who might have a different opinion the very next time he sees that same situation.
It's so difficult because everyone's moving so fast. They're so big. They're so strong. And sometimes and the angles change, right, by the second. And sometimes you're going in at one angle and a guy comes in at another, and all of a sudden what was going to be a legal hit is an illegal hit. It's hard to pull back.
No, but you're going so fast, so strong, and where I'm going is so violent that everything that you're watching is some form of dirty. You're just trying to legislate the portions of it that you can get control of, that now in today's league will make the guys from 40 years ago look at you and say, what's this namby-pamby football you guys are playing over here?
The whole game is violent. Nobody's looking at the line play. Everybody's following the ball. But if you take a minute during a game just to look at the left tackle playing his trade against the defensive end, that's violent. Just the act of blocking and trying to get past the block.
Cody, I honestly think the first time I remember how it struck me. The first time I was on an NFL sideline during a game. And because I'd only been on collegiate sidelines, the first time I was on an NFL sideline, it was such a seismic level of violence that I felt being close to it in my fear being near it, that it was going to at some point, that the play was going to come and wipe out our area. I don't think people have any earthly idea. Those guys training that way to become blocks of granite on speed, those guys training that way, colliding into each other, I really don't think that people understand what they're watching on Sundays.
The Dolphins have high school teams out to their practices during training camp, and I was out there one day, and this was a very good local Miami high school team. They look like babies, those kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are big linemen, big for high school linemen, standing next to Ndamukong Suh.
That's
they look
what I'm
like
saying.
Babies.
That's what I'm saying. When Ndamukong Suh is sitting there moving at a rate of speed, this is not a glacier moving. He's chasing down receivers. When someone that size is moving at that speed and hurls into three other guys moving at that size and speed, you don't want to be the old guy holding the chain for measurement there.
Or the running back.
or anybody. You don't want to be a living thing of any sort. Not a rhino, not a hippo, not a giraffe. No living thing wants to be near that violent mass moving toward the sideline chasing a football.
I had coffee with my colleague half an hour ago.
Everyone is saying, and I don't know if the NFL has come out and said anything, but everyone is saying last night's hit was a legal hit. They're questioning whether it was dirty or not, and Beckham was upset about it, but there's a guy trying to make a job, trying to make a team.
But what I'm saying is the line between legal and dirty, I don't even care where it is anymore. We're just making up the rules as we go along.
All right, I'm just telling you, within the rules,
it's all dirty.
That was considered legal.
No, but it's okay, but it's legal, but the game's not.
Right.
Like everything.
The game's dirty, yes.
Okay, that move is legal in the game. The whole game is legal.
And we love it.
Damn straight.
Don Le Batard.
What do you prefer, flat wings or drumsticks? Because I like drumsticks.
I like drumsticks too, yeah.
Flat rules.
Stugotz.
If people do just drums, though, you'd think there's a bunch of extra flat wings just laying around, right?
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think more people do all flats, though.
Oh,
Really?
no, I think more
so.
people do drumettes. I'm telling you, more people do the drumettes.
I like drumettes so much more.
No.
In fact, I'd prefer to do all drums.
Flatten it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Our thanks to Greg Cody of the Miami Herald for being in with us as he is every Tuesday. You guys really enjoy his presence here, and so do we. Greg Cody of the Miami Herald. One more thing on this Colin Kaepernick subject before letting it go for the day. And the last time I promised you that I would untether myself from the Colin Kaepernick subject for the day, I succeeded. despite your doubt and your skepticism. So I am telling you right now that this is the last point to be made for today by me on Colin Kaepernick.
But it might come back tomorrow?
I don't know, but today I'm promising you that today
We'll
see.
It'll be gone after this.
Because the number one request I get from people on Twitter is, hey, we love your show. We love Le Batard. Knock it off with the Kaepernick conversation already. Get Dan to stop. As if I can get you to stop talking about it.
And here is the source of the frustration. And this is where we are with it. And it's why there is so much headbutting about it. You are in a position where if you are watching this on television or listening on the radio and you are sick of all of the protest talk, sick to your core of and fatigued with all of the protest talk, please stop for a moment and think about what's being protested and think about how tired those people are with the injustice that is causing the protest that makes you so weary. Period. Let's talk about the Sueys. So, in 15 minutes, we will have for you one of Mike Ryan's favorite categories every year. And who's the biggest victim? Who are some of the biggest victims? This is the Sueys are our Oscars. We just sort of celebrate a year in review here. And this Suey category is uncomfortable moments.
Oh, boy.
And we are so good at those. And by so good at those, I mean so bad at those. But we don't mind sinking into discomfort. So who's going to take the worst beating here? When you guys were listening, without giving too much away, Mike, give me some of the discomfort that was caused while you simply listen, because there's some cringeworthy stuff here. And we don't mind letting you look behind the curtain and seeing when we are sinking or drowning.
There is. I think Dan's awkward as it is, so awkwardness tends to follow Dan, and inevitably so does discomfort. So it's obviously Dan's show, so he's involved in most of these. I will say, there was tragically, when John Saunders passed, we learned of it while we were on the air, and we were doing an interview at the time.
Oh my God, that was with Billy Ray Cyrus. It's the only thing I think of whenever I think of Miley Cyrus or Billy Ray Cyrus. That's gonna win. That's gonna win. There can't be anything better than that. How can anything be better than my friend John Saunders passing and me continuing to thunder ahead with a Billy Ray Cyrus interview, and then that guy tried to get in on the morning and was clearly faking his way through sadness.
He doesn't know. It doesn't appear that he knows that we are live. I'm not sure what happened. So that's good. Also, a bit of a surprise considering he only filled in for us 2 times. But Ryan Hollins is a multiple nominee.
What?
Hollins?
You've never heard these clips.
Oh, man.
So you will be finding, because it happened on our show while you guys were out, it's eligible for a Suey nominee.
So it's Ryan Hollins, uncomfortable moments with Ryan Hollins, the former big leaguer?
No, the
former NBA guy?
Yes, journeyman.
Yes.
The former NBA journeyman.
Yeah.
He is a multiple nominee.
Yeah.
How?
We'll find out
All
together.
right. Well, let's go ahead and break then, and let's get to this. Let's go ahead and make time for this. Let's break right now, so we have plenty of time to sell this correctly.
Dan Le Batard.
You want me to get real?
Stugotz.
I'll get real.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Look at Mike. Mike's excited right now. Cody, what were we talking about during the break? What were we just talking about just seconds ago?
About who you would take to win the college football championship.
Put it on the poll here, at Le Batard Show. Who would you take to win the championship? He's saying that Florida State, Alabama, Ohio State, or the field. Which would you take?
I take those 3 over the field, but you were surprised that Greg remembered what he was talking about during the break, because we were both nervous. I felt it. I felt your nerves. You felt mine. I thought, Greg...
Really?
Yes, we both felt it. Yes.
A minute ago.
All right,
a minute ago.
At Le Batard Show, very low expectations for you. At Le Batard Show, who do you take? College football, Ohio State, Alabama, Florida State, or the field? So Mike's very excited. Uncomfortable moments. Here they are. Over the last year, we've had a lot of them, and so has Ryan Hollins. Let's check in here with the uncomfortable moments over the last year.
now, the SUI nominees for Uncomfortable Moment. Stugotz asked John Lovitz if he's okay.
It was supposed to be us from the beginning. And then the script really wasn't very good. And the president of production said, why don't we do it with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence?
You okay, John?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was going to ask that. Is everything okay?
Oh, cough. No, I have allergies, so it makes me cough.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
If I told John Lovitz he had to put together a Mount Rushmore of Saturday Night Live, people in the history of Saturday Night Live, but you can only pick 4 of them. You're only allowed 4. Who are the 4 you're picking?
You okay?
Well, I always pick. Yes, I'm okay. I always pick the. I told you I got the allergies.
No, I know. I'm just making sure you're okay.
I always
all.
pick the original. Yeah, are you okay?
Yeah, you okay? You okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. How about you?
I'm fine.
Thanks for your concern.
Thanks for yours.
I've never had anyone I've never met this concerned over me and my health, so I appreciate it.
Okay, man, I'm a big fan, man. I'm concerned about it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, as long as you're okay.
I'm good. You okay?
I do appreciate being on the show, and I'm glad you're okay.
It's funny, John.
No, I'm not okay.
Finally.
What's the difference? I'm doing the interview, whether I'm okay or not.
Right.
Who gives a crap?
All right. So you're picking. You're picking.
You don't care how I'm doing anyway. What the hell are you asking me for? You don't really care.
It's so true.
You don't even know me.
It's so true. He doesn't. I love that he can spot your insincerity. I know. I love that you can spot his insincerity because you're so right, John. He doesn't care at all. He's asking you if you're okay.
No, he doesn't. He works with you every day. You think he gives a crap about you?
No.
As long as you pay him.
Yeah.
What are you allergic to?
This guy. No, I'm kidding.
Stugotz?
Same thing as everyone. Dust.
You okay?
Why are you someplace that's so dusty, John?
It's not.
Diamond Dallas Page gets mad at Dan.
Scotty Snyder, I was just with him up in
Who tried to rip whose eyes out there? Somebody tried to rip somebody's eyes out there.
You can't rip me up, dude.
Did you try to tear out his eyes, or did he try?
No, monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
He tried to tear out your eyes.
Monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm positively Paige. Do you think I'm going to flame your garbage so you can speak? Right here. You.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
John Oates says he would pay to see Chuck Berry after Chuck Berry's death.
Give me the musician that John Oates right now would pay top dollar because he has to see that musician.
Chuck Berry.
Okay. Yeah, well, we can't do that.
Saved by the Bell star Mark Paul Gosselaar put Stugotz on the spot.
When people talk about Saved by the Bell, the funny thing is I don't remember. Like, Stu, what's your favorite episode?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's so many. This is a tough one. Because
give me a highlights of stuff that you.
Are you kidding me? You don't have anything for him?
Well, I'm trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of a highlight here. There was one where you and Mario Lopez were I believe you were competing for, and I can't remember her name.
Every episode.
No.
Come on, man! I'm so excited.
No.
When they go to Hawaii.
No, not that one. They're competing, and there's nearly a fight in the cafe where they hang out. They're competing for the girl. What's her name? Amber Thiessen?
Oh, yeah.
You don't even know Kelly Kapowski's name.
Yes, that's the one.
You are such a fraud.
Are you a Saved by the Bell fraud?
No, I'm not. But it's tough to remember, and Zach put me on the spot there, Zach.
Mark
put me on the spot there, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. But do you remember the one I'm talking about where you're competing for her and you guys almost got in a fight?
That was every episode. How am I supposed to remember that?
He's so right.
Dan awkwardly supports LeVar Ball.
Another guy writes in, can you kiss LeVar Big Ballers bleep anymore? He's a loudmouth idiot living life through his son.
Don't dare us to kiss his bleep some more, because we will.
We'll wash his ball. I don't think I did that right.
No.
I did that wrong.
I think you veiled it, right? That's subtle enough.
I mean, you would clobber me over that.
If you do that.
Someone like you.
What I did there, if you really want to classify it, is identified as I made a mistake.
When did you know that you had made a mistake?
I did. Well, I would say that somewhere where it went, I would say right around where I got the looks of horror. I would say that's when I realized it. I swear it felt wrong coming out of my mouth. Let me rephrase that. It felt wrong when I said it.
Dan says inappropriate things.
I'm with Rohan Marley, and he and I hugged vigorously upon seeing each other because it's been a long time since we saw each other. And then right next to him, my eyes scan over, and I'm happy to see someone else. And I've had too much to drink at this point, but I'm also just fingering. What the hell word was I trying to say there? I'm just remembering my lingering. Lingering is the word I was looking for. My lingering hug with.
It is an awkward hug.
Yeah. And now the story gets good. And I'm very happy to see Edgerrin James. And so now I'm explaining to them in his company by holding up next to his face my phone with a magazine article I wrote about him next to his face. And it's got a happy ending. Well, that's not the phrase I should use either.
Jeez, God, man. Jeez.
The story has a The story's got a good ending.
Stugotz asked Steve Aoki about his lack of talent.
Steve, what do you say to people who say this isn't real music, that your talent is not a real talent?
Billy Ray Cyrus eulogizes John Sanders.
Well, I think more what I wasn't ready for was the news that you just broke about John Saunders. I'm a huge fan. And quite frankly, I was so excited. I'm sitting here in a studio, and I seen your name coming up, and I'm like, man, I love this guy. I love the show. I listen to you on the radio. I love the TV show when you're with your dad and the whole thing. But when you said John Saunders, my heart fell to the floor. And now, quite frankly, I can't even move to the other stuff because I love John Saunders.
Billy Ray, let's do this, okay? Because I've already made this clunky and awkward enough. Let's reschedule with this, and let's. I do want to talk to you. Let's talk another time. Let's talk later this week, or when we don't have this in the middle of our conversation. Is that all right? Can we do that?
What I'd rather do is you just keep what I just said, and that's. I think we just did the interview, and I quite frankly, sure, I'll come back anytime. I'll talk with you guys anytime, but please keep my tribute to John Saunders.
All right, there you go. Billy Ray Cyrus, the season 1 finale of Still the King airs this Sunday, 9 p.m. Central. You can also get his new album, Thin Line, September 9th. And I'm sorry, I am someone who will laugh at the eulogy, laugh at the wake. That's one of the most awkward things we've ever done as a radio show. All of it right there.
Yep.
Okay? And
that's saying a lot.
And I'll tell you, as a friend of John Saunders, he would want me to laugh at that. Because that was absurd. Everything that just happened there. All of it. Like just the starting point. I mean, the start.
All of it.
Yes, all of it. I've got tears in my eyes. I'm watching the television. I don't think that's ever happened to me before while doing the show where we get a bit of news that comes through that is heartbreaking.
Bill Spaceman Lee rips Doc Ellis.
You pitched a game on LSD. What do you remember from that game, Bill?
No, Doc Ellis did, and Doc Ellis never pitched on LSD because when Doc Ellis's lips are moving, he's lying. You know, he was a fraud based on that. If you read Doc Ellis in the Kingdom of Baseball, the poet from New Hampshire, you'll realize that he was a punk that stole everybody's meal money on the way to school. You know, he was a bully as a kid. I've known him well and everything, and he basically became a mouth person for the commissioner's office in Steinbrenner and was taking drug addicts around all the day. That's all he did was babysit guys that had problems in New York City, and that's Doc Ellis. And I never did LSD. Well, I can't say I never did it, but I can say that I never pitched on it. And the funny thing is, when they asked about mandatory drug testing in the commissioner's office, I said, I tested them all. It shouldn't be mandatory.
Stugotz calls famously transgender rock star Lara Jean Grace Mann.
I really didn't want to hold anything back. I guess I'm kind of masochistic in that way.
So why'd you want to write the book, Mary?
I guess, a lot of it had to do with moving forward.
NBA journeyman and fill-in host Ryan Hollins as actor Josh Duhamel. If the Transformer movies are racist.
Josh, you're going to have to forgive me for this because this hurt my feelings as a real fan, and I know that it wasn't meant to be taken in this way, but I felt like in the Transformers before, there were some robots that, as an African-American male, I felt said some taken as racist and edgy things, or just the way that they spoke. Maybe can you break that down? I'm sure you've heard about it too, or had some, possibly some small backlash from it.
Oh, come on, man. I mean, we're talking about robots. How could we possibly make this racist?
What I'm saying is every robot, every character depicts something or somebody, or what? Even the hit, the way it was taken.
I understand. I do understand what you're saying. And yeah, there's that's a question for Michael. I think that, there are certain sort of inflections and certain voices and whatever that could have been taken as, okay, now you're generalizing.
Yeah.
So I understand that, but I don't think it was ever meant to be taken personally or anything like that, but I'm sorry if you're a fan.
NBA journeyman and fill-in host Ryan Hollins as Miami Marlins beat writer Clark Spencer about the Miami Heat.
When I think of Miami, obviously you think vacation. Everybody loves to come there. Going forward for the Heat, what's it going to take to get them back to a nice little playoff run? What's it going to take to get them back to be? Obviously, it's an attractive place to live. But what's that next step for the organization?
For the Heat?
Yeah.
Pablo Torre tells a horrific hamster story.
I had hamsters that bred, gave birth, and had little hamster babies in that hamster wheel. We had a plastic cage. It was a plastic hamster wheel. So the hamsters would have their babies there. They'd be like rolling along. And then I realized that the hamsters ate their young.
Oh, no.
And the hamster wheel became a spinning wheel of decapitated hamster baby heads.
Oh, my God.
Pablo.
It's true. Hashtag con of mammals.
It's horrifying.
It was horrifying, Dan. None of those things that I described were exaggerations in any way. The heads of the baby hamsters would spin around in some sort of death rattle because the adult parent hamsters would run in the wheel as the baby hamster's body parts lay strewn across the plastic enclosure which I provided for them.
Dan asked Craig Robinson if it's height.
Are you distracted? Because this happens sometimes with you when you come on with us. I feel like you've got a little bit of ADD. During radio interviews, maybe only. Are you distracted? What's happening? Are you doing that Pineapple Express thing where sometimes you float off because you're smoking that Chiba?
No, I'm not distracted.
Okay, very good.
Stugotz talks into Michelle Biddle's chest.
I was
gotta say it.
That'd be downer to end. Whoa, no.
Oh, my God.
Why are you in here? Why are you in here?
I'm tired of my islands. I need a microphone. I want to rank quarterbacks.
This is inappropriate. HR.
That's good
HR. You can't talk into a woman's chest, Stugotz.
The entire Christopher Guest interview.
Oh, do you view that as the work that is your favorite, or is it the one that most people cite as their favorite, if you're not willing to answer that question?
Oh, I mean, I've worked for a long time, and people like different things, and that's fine. People say they like Best in Show, or they like Waiting for Guffman, and that's fine. Whatever. I can't control that, so that's cool.
How about you, though? Which one do you feel?
Oh, I couldn't say. That's a weird choice. That's a strange choice. I don't know. I wouldn't even know what to say. Clearly.
Okay. Christopher, I know what to say. How about we end this? Okay, good? We're good? We should probably end this, right? Because it doesn't seem like he wants to do it. No.
Which? Keep going.
I mean, are you sure? You want to do this or not?
Well, which are we doing?
This interview.
Oh, I love the interview.
Okay.
I mean, I can make stuff up, but I don't know what to say to a question that is about which of my things I like. I could make it up, but it's hard to pick. I've done a few things, and it's hard to pick one that I like the best. I'd like to go back to the Dylan thing. I think I personally would have been offended.
Christopher, thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you. Let's wrap this up. All right. Good talking to you.
I think Hollins wins.
Loaded category.
Oh. Dan's new water world isn't going to pay for itself.
So I was out one day, and we were talking about the racism in robots. That was a thing that happened?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure. I missed that. So I left. And okay.
Yeah.
Don Le Batard.
The Cody Stugotz combination, though. I can't imagine.
Well, yeah, you have no
Tuesdays.
idea how I dread Tuesdays to have two Stugotzes in here. God bless you, Stugotz. You don't wander around the premises as segments are starting.
I didn't know the segment was starting. Sue me.
Stugotz.
But you started taking your stroll as the rejoin was playing.
Well, I didn't hear it because the things weren't in my ear.
Right. The things that are under whose control?
My personal assistant.
Yeah, nobody is the answer to that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cody of the Miami Herald in with us as he is every Tuesday. And I enjoy talking about pop culture around here. Not politics, but somehow in 2017 we've arrived in a place where some of the figures who are in politics are pop culture figures. And so yesterday, it was amusing to see the president of our country, who is embroiled in everything he's embroiled in. There was one rule yesterday when it came to the eclipse. Just don't do it. I mean, we all lived under one rule. Just don't look at the sun. And so, of course, there's this great photo of him. He's taken off his glasses, and he's just peering directly into the sun, figuring, I guess, that the Secret Service will protect him from whatever it is that would happen to his eyes.
It's one of those things that the meme will become the history. If you watch the video, I think he's joking about looking into the sun, but it doesn't matter.
Well, regardless, he took off the glasses, and so, yes, so it became a thing. Him just doing the one thing. Really, President Trump, you need to go out there. There's a photo opportunity. Just put the glasses on. This can't be screwed up. Just go out there. Just you can be asleep if you want to be. Just pretend like you're looking at the sky wearing the glasses, and then come inside. He takes off the glasses and stares directly at the sun.
Leading by example.
And Odell Beckham did the same thing. Odell Beckham did this on Snapchat, and in both of those cases, the reaction was by many, this is what dumb people do. All of which is a starting point. Chris Cody was telling me that his bleeping father yesterday wanted, well, don't even tell the story. I'm not going to tell the story. Let's have your own loved one tell the story.
Said you wanted to look directly into the sun during the eclipse. Did you?
No, I didn't. I don't even remember saying that, quite frankly. Liar.
Really?
This is where
maybe
we are
I said
now?
That. I don't know.
He's like all these kids these days.
It's something I could see you saying.
I can see. I can see
hear
Greg.
it now. Actually,
Kids these days? What does kids these days have to do with it?
No, I may have said that, now that he mentioned it.
Because I could see you saying, kids these days, they're soft. People are, the school district was giving kids the option to go to school yesterday.
Back in my day, 88 years ago, last time there was an eclipse, I stared directly at the sun, and nothing happened. I didn't get any splotchy eyes or blindness. What's the matter with you?
We didn't have retinas back then.
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
What if I told you all it took was a pair to win it all?
Phil Ivey, the most famous gambler in the world, was accused of cheating casinos of multiple millions of dollars.
Ivy and a female accomplice.
My name is Chang Yin Sam. Everybody call me just Kelly.
Kelly's son is probably the most dangerous match player in the world right now.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
Don Le Batard.
Michael Jordan never scored 70 in a game.
No, but he scored 60-something in a legendary playoff game that they won.
Stugotz.
They lost.
Did they really?
They lost, yeah.
Wow, breaking news.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Robert, you're on with Ron McGill in Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Ron, if a chicken eats a chicken nugget, would it be considered a cannibal?
Yeah, I got to say yes. I mean, if you're eating your own species, that's cannibalism, isn't it? Even cooked or fried, that doesn't matter.
Will they deny it? Will there be will a chicken not eat fried chicken?
Chickens always deny things. That's why they're called chickens. You know.
Would the chicken, if offered a piece of delicious chicken, would the chicken not eat it because I don't eat my own kind?
No, I don't think they're bright enough to do that. Chickens will basically peck and put anything into their mouth, and I've seen them swallow everything from, BBs to plastic flowers. So I'm pretty sure a chicken would probably consume it, not knowing that it is cannibalism.
Parker, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Parker.
Could you take a bonobo or a chimpanzee and put it in a perfect environment to try to get it to evolve into a human?
That's a good question. I understand that type of evolution takes millions of years.
We've been trying it around here for about 14.
But obviously animals, bonobos...
Because we've taught you. Because of all the progress we've made in this realm.
Yeah. Listen, we as humans are evolving in the sense that, there's data that shows like the little toe in your foot is getting smaller and smaller if you look back from generations hundreds of years ago. So there is evolution just in the human body, and it's becoming leaner, stronger, taller. That's all part of evolution.
That one was kind of lame. What about the superpowers?
Superpowers?
How long was the toe?
Our evolution is our pinky toes
that's
getting
a big
smaller?
evolution for humans.
I want to climb on walls.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it is. I think it is a part of how the human body is evolving. I mean, we're just getting stronger. We're getting better. There are things, we're living longer. That's all part of an evolution.
Cody, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron, I got a question for you. I was told at one time that a sheep herder will count the black or brown sheep in his herd to figure out how many sheep total there are, and I want to know if that's true and how that is possible.
Will do what to a black or brown sheep?
I don't know. I didn't really understand the question.
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Ron, I'm wondering, at Miami Zoo, in general with animals, but in particular at your zoo, did you have to take any precautionary measures with your animals yesterday because of the eclipse? How do you handle that?
No, generally speaking, animals, when they go through an eclipse, depending on how far you get towards totality, the most you're going to get out of animals are birds will stop singing, they might stop flying, go into a tree, get ready to roost. And on the flip side, if you go in totality, it's almost like nighttime outside. You'll have things like crickets and frogs that start calling. So it's basically a reversal of behavior. If you have horses and cows out in the pasture, they'll start going to the barn. They'll start thinking, oh my God, it's getting dark, it's time to go in and eat. Most animals, though, are just going to go to sleep. People are saying, oh my God, don't you worry. How come animals don't burn their eyes by looking at the sun? Because animals are not dumb enough to look up at the sun. They don't do that. So instinctively, the same reason animals don't look up at the sun all the time is the same reason they're not going to look up during an eclipse. So you don't have to worry about that. Most animals will react differently if they see their owners acting differently. As a pet goes, animals react to their owners. If they see you nervous, they see you upset, then they get nervous and upset because they look at you as the pack leader.
Patrick, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead.
Hey, Ron, I was just told about New Zealand's plan to go predator-free by 2050. What are your thoughts about that? Is anything there problematic? Just curious.
It's hard to say. I always am against doing anything that doesn't naturally occur. What you're talking about is New Zealand is just trying to remove every predator that they have on the island, and I think that's an extremism. It's not going to be every predator. They're looking at major predators, any type of carnivore, because, insects are predators, lizards are predators. They're not going to get rid of everything like that. But I'm very, very hesitant to support any program that says, okay, we are now artificially going to remove every dog, every dingo, whatever they have there that is a predator on New Zealand, because I think that's going to affect a very delicate balance. All of a sudden, things that those animals may have eaten, all of a sudden, their populations are going to explode. And it may be that in that exploding population, there's a disease that develops. And that disease spreads all over the place, and all of a sudden you have this domino effect where it becomes chaos. Understand, predators play a huge role in the environment, man. They're controlling their prey species and therefore controlling things that prey species can spread. You don't freaking mess with Mother Nature.
Kevin, you're on with Ron McGill of Zoo Miami. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, I'm Ron, long time, first time, big fan. I was wondering who would win in a long jump, a kangaroo or a jackrabbit?
Oh, definitely the kangaroo, and that's even putting it in relation to each other. If you want to talk about an animal, and you use that term lightly, animal, the one that has the really greatest long jump of all relative to its size, it's the flea.
Wilson,
why all the silence?
Just shocking.
Wow.
Just shocking. Yes. It was just shocking. It was a shocking statement. We were consuming it. We gave a moment to think, to contemplate, to marinate, because it was such
okay, my time's valuable, Batard. Let's go.
Wilson, you're on with Ron McGill. Go ahead.
Ron, I just moved to the neighborhood into the mountains of Virginia, and there are a lot of deer around here. I've seen some viral videos where people are outside their homes feeding deer, but the deer in my neighborhood seem pretty skittish. So is it safe to feed a deer, and how would I go about doing that? Thank you.
I always hesitate in feeding any wild animals for a couple of reasons. First of all, you get that animal to start depending on those feedings, and it's losing its ability to go out and forage on its own. That is going to cause a problem when food gets a little thin out there. Also, you get animals to lose their natural fear of humans, and especially in males. When the bucks get into rut and they've lost their natural fear of people, I'm sure people have seen countless videos of these bucks just going after people, standing up on their hind legs and kicking the heck out of them and goring them, knocking them to the ground. Because when males reach sexual maturity, their hormones make them kind of stupid, and they can get very aggressive. And that becomes doubly dangerous when the animal's already lost its natural fear of people, because it says, oh, this guy feeds me, I'm not afraid of him, and now I'm ticked off, so now I'm going to kick his butt. So you got to be really careful with that. Never really ever feed wild animals. I know the intentions are good, the heart is right, but really at the end of the day, you're doing a disservice to an animal, because you're having animals come into areas where they shouldn't be, looking for food. You get problems up there, especially in the northeastern United States, with deer and ticks and Lyme disease. Don't contribute to that.
Ron, do you believe in animal psychology? What's the benefit of it? And do you have an animal psychologist at Zoo Miami?
We do not have an animal psychologist at Zoo Miami, but I certainly do believe in animal psychology. I believe that people have an innate ability to communicate with animals in a certain way or understand an animal's behavior, and it all has to do with study. It's not like some omnipotent person or some person who has this special power, but I think people who take the time to study behaviors of animals, look at their behaviors, look at their body language, there is a psychology to it. There is something, just like in human beings, that can be attributed to why an animal reacts the way it does and how you can anticipate a behavior in an animal, and how thereby you can help counteract a negative behavior by the way you treat that animal.
What do you have for video that you're doing play-by-play?
Here we go. Okay, this is going to be a good one. Ready? Because I think I got a sneak peek. Let me play again. Here we go. Okay, there's a lioness. She's going through the tall grass. She's walking with her head down. She sees something in front of her. What is it? It looks like a huge lot. Oh no, it's a freaking hippo! She looks at the back. The hippo stands up. The hippo... Oh, it turns around. The lion goes, oh, God, I got to run away. So the lion's kind of skipping away thinking, okay, the hippo grabs it by the mouth. What? It grabs it. Oh, my God, the lion's head is in the hippo's mouth. Oh, it grabs it. It gets away. It walks away. But, God, that's going to leave a mark.
Oh, wow.
Holy jeez, that was awful.
Make me a bicycle, clown.
We're now seeing it on delay on TV.
Metro PCS continues to entice you into switching from your mobile carrier with constantly delivering you great deals Oh my God.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Don Le Batard.
I love me some doctors. Have a lot of respect for the medical profession.
Stugotz.
Except chiropractors.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We got to update the polls here from today's show. We're going to do that in a second. We've got a Back in My Day to get to as well. Greg Cody of the Miami Herald in with us as he is every Tuesday. Stugotz, we are all in agreement. Everyone's in agreement that tampering is something that probably happens in some form all across sports, right? It doesn't pass the smell test. The idea that a multi-million or billion-dollar organization wouldn't plan several years out for whatever, will respect all the rules and not plan several years out for who will play for the Lakers in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think it goes on in all sports, yes.
But if it can be proven in any way that this took place this way, that the Lakers and Paul George had talks, and then after that, Paul George chose to go into Pacer offices and tell them, I'm leaving, and they didn't know that that had any possibility of being so until that moment. Shouldn't the penalty be really harsh? If that is so, if everything I just said is so, that they were not merely tampering with a guy under contract, tampering in a way that it's the reason Paul George went into the Pacers and said, hey, trade me, I'm out of here in a year, I'm going to Los Angeles. If you can connect those two things in an investigation, don't you believe that that's the most serious kind of sports crime?
Yes, I would agree with that, but what's the penalty for that? Because, yes, we discussed money, and that's fine, and that's what it's going to be, but you take away draft picks, what do you do? Are you blocking him from going to the LA Lakers?
Well, let's see. Let's start with the premise.
Because, yes, that's a lot worse.
Hold on. Do you guys agree with the premise that if what I'm saying can be proven to be so, that egregiously tampering with someone else's contract in a way that wrecks their franchise is something that you cannot abide? It has to be in a time when commissioners are more punitive than they've ever been. Like, this can't be just sort of like, people tamper all the time. Not when you're messing with somebody else's business that way. Not if the reason that Paul George went in there is because the Laker thing was locked up. Man, you got to come down swinging hard on the Lakers. Not a little bit, hard.
I agree with you if it comes from the executive level. If you connect that dot to Magic Johnson, I agree with you. But to me, there's gray area. What if it's a friend of Paul George's who plays for the Lakers, and they're having a friend-to-friend conversation about, hey, you ought to come here.
But that's not what he's saying, though. I think he's saying from the executive level. In this case, it is the executive level. That happened with the Heat. Those guys talked about it for years leading up to them getting together down here.
I'm asking, players can collude.
Correct.
I'm asking specifically about that kind of rule breaking from an executive, whether you meant it or not, if it can be proven.
Mm-hmm.
If somehow an investigation can prove that the contact was egregious enough, how would you feel about that if that was the star of your sports team? How would you feel when the league is sitting here, when they're sitting here having a draft and a salary cap, and they're telling you that it's for the good of the business of the league, and they're telling you that it's at least in part some of their rules are in place because they want to make sure that the teams like Indiana don't lose their superstars. They're making it the rules that you can pay more to your free agents and have an advantage that way because they don't want you to leave Indiana. They've made it their rules. And now Magic Johnson would be flaunting those rules.
Yep. I agree. It's very serious.
But what I'm saying is, do you guys realize how much more serious this is than, say, Deflategate? That we spent months of, and how much investigation did we spend? Like, as a sports crime, I don't know how much worse you can have than, like, we sit here and we yell about the sports crimes of this guy's arrogant or this guy's impolite or this guy botched the press conference as a sports crime. Not, beating up a girlfriend or a wife or a fiance in an elevator. As a sports crime, what's worse than this?
It's pretty bad. I'm reading, actually, and I couldn't remember who it was, but Joe Smith, actually, the Timberwolves did this, and they were severely fined, and they lost draft picks. They did it with Joe Smith. They had an under-the-deal table with Joe Smith, who was absolutely not worth it at all, but they did.
I love that. I love the under-the-deal table. I love that. It's not an under-the-table deal. I love the under-the-deal table.
Did I say under-the-deal table? I meant under-the-table deal, but it was
coffee table.
I can't even believe that I remembered this, but I did, and it was Joe Smith and the Timberwolves, and they lost a lot of draft picks and a lot of money for a guy who wasn't worth it.
But what I'm saying to you is, if you're someone who's upset because your athlete hit a bunch of home runs while using steroids or won the Tour de France because he was blood doping, this is worse because someone else is under contract and you're actively wrecking another franchise. As opposed to Lance Armstrong, who's only hurting himself,
right.
Or in the case of baseball, a bunch of guys who were helping their sport, and if they didn't get caught, they helped their team, and if they did get caught, they were suspended, and they helped their team before they got caught. Like, it's not, in terms of the ramifications of this, you finished the Pacers. And if it can be proven.
That's the key, because I liken this to collusion, where everybody can assume that Colin Kaepernick's being blackballed. Prove it. Prove there's collusion within the NFL when it comes to him. Prove that Magic Johnson himself, personally, was involved in getting Paul George.
How do you want me to prove the Kaepernick thing? Like, how many more quarterbacks have to be signed before you're willing to say
I'll prove it, Chad Henne.
Again, that's circumstantial.
Okay, but
that's not proof.
What's the name I got to give you where you're like, okay, that's proof?
C.J. Beathard.
I've already heard about a dozen of those names. I happen to believe it's true. Prove it. You can't. You can't.
Thad Lewis.
Oh. Can you?
Thad Lewis.
Okay.
Put it on the poll, Allison. Is Thad Lewis the proof?
More so than Henne?
Put it on
C.J. Beathard.
Stop putting Henne in there. He's battling for a starting
the
job.
Baltimore Ravens signed a guy I had never heard of.
Let's go ahead and update the polls real quick here.
Canadian Football League backups.
Before we get into Greg Cody's back in my day, I didn't bring up Kaepernick.
All right.
That's true, I did.
The poll question is brought to you by Upside. Now say big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com. That's Upside.com. We've never done this before, but I am going back to one of the poll questions from yesterday because this has never happened before.
It was unprecedented yesterday.
And, I mean, this is amazing.
No.
Is Anquan Bolden a Hall of Famer? Nearly 12,000 votes. Never happened before.
No. Yeah, I don't. I'm not about. No.
50-50.
No, get out of here! Get out of here! You're a liar!
I love that some people are writing here, and they're so right about this. Allison, put this on the poll. Is the under the table deal when she rummages around down there with her foot? Put that on the poll. Is the under the table deal when she rummages around down there with her foot? Put that on the poll, and then we'll update the polls next.
Don Le Batard.
5 straight NBA Finals for James Jones. That's incredible.
It is. It's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Plus, he got LeBron to Cleveland as well.
Yeah.
Stugotz.
You guys, you're sitting right next to each other. You guys know that you're talking when the other one's talking? Or
What's
you're
that?
just going to talk to each other? Like, you're sitting right next to each other, and you're looking at each other. You're just going to keep talking over each other?
Communication wasn't our best right there.
Harmony?
What?
Simon and Garfunkel did it for years, made a great career out of it.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Let's update the polls here at Le Batard Show, and we will get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day in a second. But what were you saying during the break? That Lane Kiffin has reached out to Art Briles?
Yeah, and I didn't know the reception in Hal was that good.
Yeah! If you're Lane Kiffin, that's what you should do, though, right? Like, Lane Kiffin absolutely has to put together the expendables of coaching staffs.
Oh, no doubt. But I think he reached out to him for advice, like offensive game plan. I don't think he's entertaining the thought of hiring him as a coach, but he probably should.
But why wouldn't you?
Right.
If you're Lane Kiffin and you're at FAU, and FAU has sold its soul to have Lane Kiffin, shouldn't Lane Kiffin just put together this mutant staff of renegades like Dig Up, Jerry Tarkanian, and just put a bunch of guys on his staff that are going to go that are...
Now I want to fill out this staff. That's funny.
Nobody else wants.
They don't even have to be football coaches, right? I mean,
well, Briles' son is on the FAU staff, I believe. I made this less fun.
Yeah, you ruined it.
You did.
Yeah, you totally ruined it. Let's update the polls.
Is Miami Heat broadcaster Eric Reed a local legend? This is unfair, man. We should have just had people in Miami. But 55% of the audience said no. They don't think that he is. Can you name 2 Jets? 61% of the audience, a lot of votes here, said no.
That's amazing. It really is amazing.
Just 2 Jets. Can you name 2 Jets? Would you be okay with Roger Goodell combining the Jets, Browns, and Jags this season? 78% of the audience said yes. How many games is that team winning?
It's such a great question. How many games is being won by a team that combines the Browns, the Jags, and the Jets? They're the one team in the league allowed to have a 150-man roster.
We gave you 0 to 3, 4 to 7, 8 to 10, more than 10. And 38% of the audience said 4 to 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a quarterback.
I still don't have a quarterback. Is the cruise ship industry in the cruise ship industry is all docking computerized? 62% of the audience said yes. How about that? You were wrong, Deb. Who would be better doing the other's job? Roger Goodell as a cruise ship captain or a cruise ship captain as Roger Goodell? 78% of the audience said captain as Goodell.
Okay. And Cody said that if he were that captain going in for work, that he would wear the captain's outfit while doing the commissioner's job.
Absolutely.
Like he would have press conferences dressed as a captain without a ship.
Is Thad Lewis the proof?
Okay.
54% of the audience said yes.
Very good.
Is under the table deal when she or he rummages down there with her foot or his foot? 55% of the audience said yes.
Thanks for cleaning up the gender politics in that one. I appreciate it. Time now for Greg Cody's Back in My Day.
And now it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cody, with Back in My Day.
I'm serious. Like Lane Kiffin hires O.J. Simpson as running backs coach. Like, why not?
He's available. Gender reveal parties. Gradually, we volunteer the sacrifice of our privacy. It belongs to us, but then we say, here, you can have it. The latest example, gender reveal parties, a spawn of social media whose origin dates only to 2008. The gender reveal used to be a most intimate moment between 2 budding parents. It was just the 2 of you in a room with your doctor as the sonogram was shown and you learned if it was a boy or a girl. At that point, you either told everybody or kept it to yourself, or sometimes you didn't want to know ahead of time and only found out the moment the infant was pulled caterwauling into the world. But now, all of the old conventions of life, such as keep it to yourself, are falling faster than Confederate statues. Now you make a party of it. Invite all your friends and dramatically announce the gender with pink or blue-dyed cake, never considering you have officially taken the first step in gender stereotyping, locking your child in society's preconceived notions of how to look and act. Back in my day, the baby shower was about the only party going on before the wedding. Now there are engagement parties, bridal showers, gender reveal parties. Why stop there? Have a name reveal party. It's Larry. Have an accessories reveal party in which you introduce friends to the crib and stroller you've chosen. Heck, have a conception reveal party. Set up folding chairs and party balloons all around the marital boudoir as you go about the business of making that baby while friends cheer encouragement. Come on, Ed!
Baby.
Do it for the baby! Do it for the baby! We're not far from there already, folks. Isn't there a reality TV show called Dating Naked? There are no secrets anymore because we shout them all from a rooftop. No privacy because now we need to throw a damn party to dramatically broadcast if it's a boy or a girl. I like to go to gender reveal parties and boom, it's a boy, to one-up the parents, figuring I have a 50-50 shot of being right and rendering the eventual release of those blue balloons a sad anticlimax. I'm Greg Cody, and that's how it was back in my day.
Winded.
Yeah.
Winded. I love that Greg Cody is winded after doing
the workout.
Going to question the professionalism of some out-of-shape athlete.
Splash!
It's It's weird. He'll go for a while without talking, and then he does that segment because people are claiming that's the first they've heard from Greg Cody in about 45 minutes on the text.
College football is back, and you will see Dr. Pepper at every tailgate at every big school stadium in the country. Grab some ice and pour yourself a cup and enjoy your Saturdays this season. What happened to the whole question of what would you take? Who would you take? FSU, Ohio State, Alabama, or the field?
I didn't see that.
What happened to that? I just thought of that because of the Dr. Pepper.
That's what happened.
Allison's a failure. Failure at the polls.
College football season. It's that time of year filled with coolers, cases, and cups of delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper that leaves us all craving for more. More big hits, strip sacks, flea flickers, onside kicks, pick sixes, tailgates, house parties, homecomings, rivalries, overtimes, double OTs, dual threat quarterbacks, cornerbacks, upsets, or any excuse to storm a field and tear down a goalpost. Others crave five-star recruits, cupcake schedules, Cinderella stories, a top 25 ranking, and, of course, the college football playoff invented by Mr. Ice Cold Dr. Pepper himself, Larry Culpepper. Then there are those weirdly specific cravings, like a solid 50-50 raffle. The corn dogs at concession.
I feel like you should have read this one before.
You're reading this for the first time, aren't you?
I'm reading it well, I feel like. I haven't butchered a single word here.
But I feel like you're surprised by the next word.
Aren't you?
You're coming up to every word like a speed bump, and you're a little scared of the next word.
Weird.
Yeah,
also,
you're just scared. You're reading scared.
We didn't find out how many wins the Jacksonville Brown Jets would have.
That's right. We never did find out. Didn't he say? I think he said 4 to 7.
I did say it. I said 4 to 7.
4 to 7?
Yeah, hold on, let me go
Would
back
the commissioner
and check.
allow
That's okay.
it?
38% said 4 to 7.
Okay.
Think about the Dr. Pepper in a second. I mean,
Would the commissioner allow
copy's
it?
a little strange. And then we got 12,000 votes on Anquan Bolden, and it's still 50-50.
Still 50-50.
Yeah. Got to start this over
No,
again?
no,
or what
no,
are we
right in the middle, right in the middle.
Please, just
Then there are those weirdly specific cravings, like a solid 50-50 raffle, the corn dogs at concessions, starting a chant, saying hi to your mom on the Jumbotron, a good old-fashioned mascot fight, or maybe a fresh new koozie to keep your Dr. Pepper nice and cold. Fans covet lots of different things throughout the college football season, but there's only one thing fans crave all season long, the sweet, refreshing taste of an ice-cold Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
It is good.
It is yummy.
Yes. You know where you can grab some?
Where?
Your local store. And have yourself.
I was going to guess the store.
That's all. A local store. That's it.
Go to a store.
All right.
And if you want to go out of town together, it seems a far way to go.
I thought I was willing to do it, but when you told me that I could just do it at a store.
That's a local store.
My first guess was going to be a store. But
Are you sure that store still has it? Like now everyone knows.
Local store.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I figure they're running out because we're telling everybody. By the time we get there, they're already going.
Once you grab it from your local store, you know what you do next, Dan?
Drink it.
Well, after you drink it, you know what happens after that? You have yourself an excessive celebration.
Yes.
With college football's greatest tradition, Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
The one fans crave.
Sure is.
Don Le Batard.
Have you guys heard this story? Bas Rutten fighting a dog?
Well, I've never heard of Bas Rutten, so.
Bas Rutten's been on the show, Stugotz. Like the idea that you've never heard of him, he's been on the show several times.
Stugotz.
Is that B-O-Z?
It's B-A-S.
Yes.
B-A-S. All right. I was, because there's Boz Skaggs.
Boy, you guys are dragging this thing right into the quicksand.
Well, why are you pronouncing it Boz, though?
Right.
Probably like Baz or something.
Exactly.
Bass.
B-A-S, right?
Bas Rutten.
Boz would connote a Z, right?
Right. Yeah, it's like a Scandinavian name.
Yeah, like Boz, like Bosworth.
Bas
Yeah.
Rutten.
B-O-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
Something about a dog?
What's the dog's name?
Speedy.
Speedy Rutten.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I need some help from our crack research staff here. I just looked at the television out of the corner of my eye. Little League World Series was on, and Adnan Virk and Tom Kirkshin, our friends, our good friends, are doing the game, and there were a couple of Little Leaguers in that booth with them, and those Little Leaguers appeared to tower over Tim Kirkshin and Adnan Virk. And so my question to you is, how tall is Adnan Virk? Because those Little Leaguers looked from where I was sitting like they were much bigger than Adnan Virk and Tim Kirkshin.
Well, he was down here for the All-Star game, and so we all met him. I stood next to him, and I was about the same height. So, Mike, you measured me recently. I know that's a weird sentence to say on the radio, but you did. How tall was I?
I've also stood next to Adnan Burke, and I would estimate 5'7", 5'8".
Okay.
So
and you're about 5'7" without your disgusting sandals on.
Right.
So I wasn't seeing it wrong. Those little leaguers from South Dakota and Australia, are those little leaguers, or is that the next level, 12 years old to 15? Where it's, what is that, junior something? It's
Big
something.
league.
Wow, you really jumped in there
No,
very
I think they call it
aggressively.
Big League World Series, don't they?
I mean, the
Like Big League, Little League,
Big
you're
League
saying?
World Series is the
Confirmed.
Major League World
I just
Series.
texted Adnan. He got back to me 5'7".
5'7".
You call?
Like
You
tower
shouldn't be
over
doing
him.
that in the middle of a game, Adnan.
It is Big League, Little League baseball, actually.
Yeah. That's what I just said. Trust me.
There is.
We have to pay attention to this Little League World Series because Lorenzo is the devil. I've put Lorenzo in charge of our fantasy football league, and to say he's overthinking it would be an understatement. And he's gone full Charlie. He is an egomaniac.
Worse than Charlie, actually.
I didn't know what I was in for.
Yeah.
Dude, just set up the league and set up a draft.
Wait a minute. How are you guys still taking this seriously after I desecrated the entire league by winning it last year without ever caring to do a single transaction on behalf of my team, not even selecting the team? It was auto-selected.
Are you CC'd on these emails from Lorenzo?
No, I haven't seen any of those, and I don't want to see them.
You are CC'd.
No, you are. I think you responded saying exactly that. You said something to the effect
I
of what
only
you just
responded
said.
one time, which
Right.
is like, how are you guys still doing this when I'm the champion? Aren't you embarrassed?
Like, I think we each have one of these Little League teams, and whoever wins, that's going to determine the draft order or something like that. Like, he assigned a Little League team to each of us.
Yeah.
He
It's
is
nuts.
He is
Just
dead.
set it up and let's draft.
He just sent us another email in which he's
No.
dead set about creating a wrestling heel persona.
Nope.
And a stable of heels to rule over this league with an iron fist.
He's gone off the deep end, that guy.
Wait a minute. Does everyone recognize this particular creature? Does he make an appearance this time of year? Overzealous fantasy league commissioner guy?
It's intense.
Does this happen of every league? This is why I'm not in any of these leagues. The only one I've ever been in, I won without ever participating in it. It was last year, and it's the reason that you guys should all be ashamed of
settle
yourself.
down. You were in it the year before, and you were terrible.
Yeah, you were
caught
terrible.
lightning in a
Exactly.
bottle.
Exactly. Do it again.
It's an outlier.
Did Mike Ryan just hit me with a settle down because he's still clearly embittered by the fact that I never paid attention to the league last year and won it?
Did he beat me in the Super Bowl?
I beat all of you.
Yeah, you beat him.
I beat everybody.
The low bowl.
Me?
Everybody. Is this his godforsaken
Yes.
Lobos?
Yes.
The same damn.
He doesn't even know.
It's a Lobo. Everybody's a Lobos.
Oh, so everyone's the Lobos in
Yes.
this league?
Your
So do you have a
Dan's Lobos.
fantasy
Lobos
update
is
for
the
us?
champion.
Are you aware
Yeah.
Do you have
that
a
Dan's
fantasy-
Lobos
do you-
won the league?
Do you have a fantasy update for us? Do you have?
Of
Do you have
course
one?
I do.
Do you?
I mean,
Okay.
it's fantasy season.
It
Why
is
wouldn't
time
he?
now for a weekly update on our favorite
excited.
team,
So exciting.
Rex Lobos. Here is their head coach and president of football operations, Greg Cody.
Do it once, Dan, since you're the champion. Yeah. Ow! 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 Howl! Ow! Howl! Do it! Champion's howl.
I will say that Greg's Lobos have gone to Commissioner Lorenzo.
This was the Dan Levatard Show on ESPN Radio.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.